Hello and welcome to video number 5. Let's talk about video file optimization. Did you know that all files contain data that tells YouTube what your video could be about? Let me show you. Okay, so the way that YouTube gets an idea of what your video is about is by transcribing it. And for the most part, it can usually figure out what your video is all about if you have voice and speaking in it. Now, you can go one step further by adding what we call video file metadata. It's very similar to a website metadata. So for example, if you right click on any website and you click on View Page Source, up at the top, you're going to see a lot of what we call metadata. So right here, we can see the name, the title, the description, and all that information. So what that does is it tells Google essentially what your website is all about. So very, very similar in this case of what we're doing here. So what we're doing here is we are taking the video file that you have created and embedding it with more information. So besides the title and description, YouTube will be able to read the metadata inside of your video. So it'll make a little bit more sense when I show it to you. Now, it's really hard to find software out there that allows you to embed metadata, except for a few. So one of them is called Video Converter by Wondershare. And that is videoconverter.wondershare.com. That's videoconverter.wondershare.com. So if you go here and you go ahead and download up at the top, you will be able to embed metadata. In fact, we're going to be using that for this particular video. Now, there are other software out there like the Adobe Bridge software, which allows you to embed the metadata into your video. Now, the reason why I'm using Wondershare is because I feel like it's a lot easier to use. So if you go ahead and download this, we're going to open this here. And what I did was I clicked Add Files and I chose the file. Now, there's a lot of things that you can change about the video, but what we're particularly interested in is this eye icon right here. So click this eye icon, or letter I here, and you're going to see that it says name, language, episode name, actors, director, screenwriter, tagline, and description, and comments. So what I recommend is you try to complete this as much as you can. So episode name, actors, so that would be whoever is in the video, the director, the screenwriter, which could be you, and then the tagline. What I would do is the tagline be your title, and then the description be your description. So whatever you're going to upload to YouTube, put this as a title and put this as a description. And then for comments, I would put something like keywords. And all you have to do is click save, convert it, and done. That's the reason why we're using Video Converter, because it's just so much easier. With Adobe Bridge, it's easy too, but there's a lot of more options and very easy to get confused. So once you're done with that, you save the video. Your video has the metadata inside of it, and all you have to do is simply upload it to YouTube, and that's it. Hello and welcome back. This is video number 6. Let's talk about your thumbnail and why that is important. You see, since our goal is to get more clicks or more views to your YouTube video, we have to rely on attracting viewers. So if you think about it, the thumbnail is the first thing people see as they are scanning to find what interests them the most. So in other words, if you think about it, if you go to youtube.com and you type in a keyword, you're going to see all the results with thumbnails, the titles, the descriptions, and all of that. So that's the first thing that they see. So let's discuss what your thumbnail should contain and what's working in your market and how to figure that out. So when it comes to having a thumbnail, you want to make sure that it is eye-catching, meaning it shows somebody what they want. So if Instant Pot Chicken is your main keyword, you want to make sure that your thumbnail has something in it that entices them. So it's good to have the keyword or the title in it. So you can see right now the way YouTube works is they have an initial title or an initial thumbnail, and then after that you can see motion. So if I put my mouse over it, you can actually see part of the video, which makes it a lot more engaging. So as we scroll down, the initial thumbnail that this woman uses is the Instant Pot. And then this one here, it says Instant Pot recipes. So Instant Pot. So we can see the ones at the top definitely have the Instant Pot in it, or a word that's chicken, or a picture that has chicken in it. So it fits the keyword. Now, if you're not a professional, thumbnail artist or anything like that, there are different sites that you can use to get these created. Now, bear in mind that you never want to use a thumbnail that is clickbaity or that lies to somebody, because if they click on it and then the video is nothing like the thumbnail, then guess what? You might get tons and tons of clicks and perhaps views, but you're not going to get people watching your video, which is very, very important, which we'll discuss in the future videos. But for now, there are different elements that you need. So what I recommend is you go to a site called creativemarket.com. That's creativemarket.com. There are other sites like graphicriver.net, but over time we've realized Creative Market has a lot of really good designs. So what we can do here is in the search box, we're going to type in YouTube thumbnail. And we're looking specifically for templates that we can use for the thumbnail. So it says YouTube thumbnail pack. Let's go ahead and open that. There's one here. There are end cards, but that's a little bit different. That basically comes at the very end of your video. So we got urban thumbnails, different types of thumbnails. But the reason why I like Creative Market is buying templates for specifically YouTube thumbnails is going to make your life a lot more easier, especially if you can make it professional. The more professional it looks, the more professional your viewers will click through. So if we click on this, we can kind of get an idea of what we're dealing with. And here's more thumbnails here as well. Now, over time, we've realized with YouTube thumbnails, more and more designs are becoming minimalistic, meaning it's not too fancy, but it's got just enough information to tell the person what it is all about. So it could have text, it could have pictures, but you really need to know what your YouTube video is about before you can create your thumbnail. In fact, I recommend that you create your YouTube video first and then you create your thumbnail so that you can make sure that you attract the right person. Now, what we found a little bit of a technique is to create a thumbnail that is related to essentially the end, meaning if you're creating an Instant Pot chicken recipe, you might want to show the chicken already cooked. So essentially what people get if they click through. So that way people think, oh, okay, this looks really nice. I'm going to click through. And they're more likely to actually watch all the way through to the end. And that's what we want. We want people not to just click through, but to watch all the way till the end. And that's actually going to help us with the ranking. Hello and welcome to video number 7. Let's talk about video length in more depth. So the big question is, how long should your video be? While yes, most folks have said that your video should be short due to attention span, and that's something that we've talked about in the past, and that definitely worked in the past, and that still is true that people's attention span are short. But today, in terms of YouTube, your video length should be longer, and here's why. Did you know that YouTube ranks your video based on how many minutes your viewer watches? We talked briefly about this in video number 1, but I want to talk about why that is the case. Statistically speaking, most people that we have found, based on statistics that we have seen in YouTube, most people watch about 50% of a video. Even the people that are interested in a video, they watch 50% of a video. So if that, in this case, is a 5-minute video, an average viewer is only going to watch about 2.5 minutes. Now, here's why that is important. If you're competing against someone who has a 30-minute video and their viewers watch 15 minutes, which is about 50%, well, guess what? Even if they can have less viewers than you, they're going to beat you because they have a longer video. So if you got the 2.5, they've got the 15 minutes, they can send less people and still beat you. And YouTube will favor them in the end. Now that, of course, is assuming that the views are legitimate and people are actually watching. And that's why user experience is so important. So to give you some real life practical application, let's hop on over to YouTube and I'm going to show you proof that this works. Okay, so let's take what we learned and what we just discussed and apply it to some real life practical application. So if we head on back over to youtube.com, we type in the keyword Instant Pot recipes, we can see this one, and this one. So let's go ahead and open these up. So we got this one, and this one. So that's 1, 2, and 3. The first one has about roughly 8 minutes or 9 minutes. We'll say 9 minutes. The second one has about 27 minutes. And the third one has about 20 minutes. Okay. So essentially the second and third have about double the amount of time. So like we talked about, most people watch about 50% or less, and then they quit. That's the average, right? So if that's the case, this person here, even though they have more views, see that? 800,000 views, even though they have more views, they're competing with somebody with a 30-minute video. Essentially, it's 27 or 28, but close to 30. So if we round that, we'll just say this is 10, this is 30, and this is 20. All right, so let's keep it at even numbers. So if that's the case, there's 4 minutes here, 15 minutes here, and 10 minutes here. So this means that the person with the less amount of minutes, they're going to need a lot more views and a lot more people watching it. So in total, if this person has, obviously this person's number 1, but what I'm saying here is because YouTube looks at how many minutes are watched, if this person had 800,000 views and this person had only half of that amount, but had more than double this amount, this person right here would most likely rank higher. So see that? Only 100,000 views, 15 minutes. This one here, 20 minutes, only 6,000 views. So you might ask, well, shouldn't this be maybe number 1? Not necessarily. If we really look at it, so we've got 800 times 4 minutes, and that's not going to be exact. I mean, we could even take 500. And this is definitely going to be number 1. And this is definitely going to be number 2 based on the information. But this person, because they have a long enough video, even though they have less amount of views, they're still able to rank pretty high. So this is based on one of our YouTube channels, which has over 9 million of minutes watched. And based on that, that's what we've seen. Now, there's other factors like likes, dislikes, comments, and other things like that, titles and descriptions. But that's a big, huge ranking factor because it legitimately tells Google and YouTube, hey, this YouTube video is legit. Not only people are clicking on it, they're actually viewing it. And they're viewing at least about 50% on average. So that's why the video length is important. Now, you don't want to make a long video just to make a long video. You want to make a video that has really good content. And that's the goal. It's not based on spammy backlinks or anything like that. It's based on providing real value.